Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, where we explore transformative power of mindset in every aspect of your life. Of course, I'm your host, Dr. Alisa Whyte, and I have a beautiful, radiant guest in studio who you're going to learn a lot more about in just a few seconds. Today's episode is dedicated to the foundation of our lives, and that is relationships. Yes, we have a relationship expert in studio, and we are going to have an amazing time getting some really vital mindset shifts. And she's going to bust some myths for us as it relates to relationship. But I have a question for you. Did you know that research shows couples who invest in their relationships through open communication and shared goals are 35% more likely to report higher levels of satisfaction and emotional intimacy? Who doesn't need more intimacy, right? Intimacy. Yet nearly over 40% of married couples cite a lack of connection on reasons for drifting apart. Today, we're tackling these challenges head on with our special guest on Mindset Master Moments. Today, we have the beautiful and radiant Gabriela Embon, a certified coach, author, and relationship expert who has spent over 2 decades helping couples transform their partnerships into thriving, legendary unions. I said thriving, legendary unions. And that really excites me because I believe in the power of the union of the masculine and feminine. Gabriela's debut book that is called Becoming a Power Couple. Listen, we hear it all over social media, but what on earth does power couple truly mean? She has given us 4 pillars to engineer legendary marriages, offers a roadmap for couples to break through myths about long-term relationships, to keep the spark alive and build marriages that grow stronger with each passing years. That's the kind of marriage that I want. In this episode, Gabriela will share her unique approach to engineering successful marriages. She'll debunk some good common myths about love and provide actionable strategies. On Mindset Mastery Moments, our guests give you expert, sage, not just advice, tested and proved theories and practical strategies to navigate. And so tonight, Gabriela, thank you for being with us on Mindset Mastery Moments as
thank
we
you for
dive into this beautiful 4 pillars of engineering and legendary marriage with you.
Wow. You got me even more excited if that was possible after hearing your introduction. Thank you for having me. Can't wait for this conversation.
Thank you so much. Well, Gabriela, you have done some amazing work. 2 decades dedicated to the study and I would say the reform of relationships of marriage, that beautiful sacred union that I admire. But before we even get married, there's this whole concept of relationships, not just with others, but with ourselves. So I'm excited to hear. So if you can tell us in your own words who you are, what you do, and how did you get on this journey to these 4 pillars that will really change the world?
Okay. In 100 words max, like a TEDx application, those challenging TEDx applications. So it's been 2 decades that I realized my passion was helping people. I'm a former engineer, but I'm a chemical engineer. So it's all about the chemistry, I guess.
Wow, I love that.
I didn't know that then, but now I understand it looking back. And when I did a career change, I started working with people, coaching people. But the topic of marriage was always very dear to me because of my personal story. And of course, I've been married for 26 years. I've been with my husband for 29 years. So very naturally, I started sharing the insights that I was learning from my own relationship. And that led to this beautiful career specialty and then the book on how to help couples because you said before we get married, we need to do personal development. Even before we get married, I think we need to debunk a few myths and we need to change a little bit the narrative around marriage. So this is what now passionates me the most, I would say now, because, we're always getting to the next level of our genius zone and our passion. But in the last year, this is really helping couples build that union you were talking, that sacred union, and become power couples and see the ripple effect that this has on their families, on society. This is what keeps me going, really passionates me.
I love it. You said something so wonderful that you're a living, breathing, working example of your work. You said 29 years of marriage. And I know that you have an incredible journey too. So, where you, weeks before your wedding, you had a vivid dream that completely altered your life path. Can you share that story with us?
Yes, of course. The book actually starts with that story. So I was engaged with somebody I was dating for 5 years at the time, to get married quite young, and I was 21 at the time. And we have decided to get married mostly for practical reasons, really to get dorms for couples in university. It made sense, and it was a very practical, but
Yes, yes.
I have to tell, this relationship was nothing but flow. Okay, it was quite rocky. And a month before the wedding, I was blessed with higher guidance with this dream that when I was entering the altar, it wasn't my fiance waiting for me, it was my current husband waiting for me, which we knew each other, we were friends. And I think that, higher power implanted that dream in me, and then continued to support me, because the next day I just got the courage out of nowhere to cancel the wedding.
Wow. And that was 1 month before the wedding.
That was 1 month when everything was pretty much done. I think the invitations were even sent. I had
Wow.
family coming from abroad who already had tickets to come to the wedding. Yeah. So it was quite disruptive, to say the least. I wish it wouldn't be that way, but
I know, but it saved you a lifetime of regret. And 29
absolutely.
years later, you're still blissfully married,
Yes, I
right?
am.
So, I mean, I say I poke a lot because here's the thing. I want our viewers and listeners to always have the T on practically shifting your mindset, because that would have been a huge shift for you. Brave, because now you have to tell your family, his family, the groom, these other family members that this is not happening. How did you know that? What kind of mindset did you have to bravely say, no, I can't go through with this?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I wish I would tell you. I saw that question coming. I wish I would tell you was my mindset. I think it was a moment of courage that, I believe in God. So I believe that it was a moment of courage that God put in me. And then, yes, it took strength from me to stand up to the comments of my parents and other people. Oh, you got cold feet. You shouldn't do this. It's normal before the wedding. And I kept telling people, no, this is not normal. This is not normal.
It
The
is
fact that I
not.
want to be with someone else, no, this is not normal.
Wow.
So that took courage. But this type of choices that we make, these life-changing choices, really showcase what I believe in. You make the difficult decisions lead us to an easier life, and the easy decisions usually lead us to a harder life. And it's so important. I was talking about this with a client yesterday, talking about business. I was saying, please don't make a decision based on where you are. Make a decision based on where you want to be. And I knew that if I go through this wedding, I was going to end up divorced. I knew that.
Yeah. That is weird that you said that. That kind of strikes me a little bit because I kind of felt this anyway. Whew, a lot of confessions. I felt the same way when I was getting married, and I did it anyway. I didn't have the courage to just say, I'm not going to go through with it. And I did. And 17 years later, I was divorced, right?
But Dr. Whyte, this is very normal. You know that.
Yes.
Very common. In fact, when you ask couples that were divorced, why did you marry that person? Right? Or when did you know that this is not the right person for you? They tell you, I knew that from the beginning. But we as humans have this tendency to seek instant gratification. Instant gratification in this case means I'm not going to shake the boat right now.
No,
I can't
I'm
go
not.
through that.
Exactly.
So
I can deal with it. It'll get better. This feeling would change. This discomfort, that
that's
would
right.
change. I will make this work. I will do that. I will do that. And I really think one of my biggest things that a lot of people would find challenging to admit, but um, I think when we think that way is because we think we're going to manipulate a situation
That's
and
right.
sometimes manipulate a person. So I've surprised someone earlier when I was just getting out of my marriage, which we did very, very peacefully and stuff, that I said to my ex, I said, I apologize for being manipulative. He's like, manipulative? That is a word I would never use to describe you at all. I said, I wouldn't either until I understand what manipulation is. Manipulation is when someone is their way and who they are, and somehow you have a plan to, by some means over time, change who they are, change what they want, how they want it, so that you can be fulfilled. And I said, on no level should anyone have to, even if you don't show ill, that level of toxicity within me is the level of toxicity, no matter all the beautiful things and who I am and what I do, I'm still carrying poison that will infect over time. It's like having a little rash that you pick at and then it spreads around the body, right? So it might sound harsh for some people if they know my journey and think that's there's no way, like he said, there's no way. But I understood to a deeper level what manipulation does and what it can cost, not just others, but me as a person. So not wanting others to change, but only looking at me as the change in my life. And then that vibrational level that life will mirror that back to me on every level. And then I make decisions in authenticity. So much to learn from marriage and
Wow.
relationships.
Absolutely. And look at the definition of love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What you say is so powerful. First of all, kudos to you for having that level of awareness and maturity and
Thank
being
you.
able to divorce with grace and dignity.
Yes.
I get back to this when we describe the pillars of the book because
Yes,
I have a
we
lot to
will.
say about
Yes.
that.
Yes.
But what is love? Love is the desire to know someone deeper, not to change someone.
Come
Is
on
to
now.
say, I like what I see. I want to learn more. I want to go deeper, not
Curiosity.
change you. If the desire is to
Absolutely.
change you, that's not love, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that because it's been only about a little less than a year ago. I told my now partner that we're courting, I said, I've always wanted to desire to be in a relationship where it's not that the other person is perfect or infallible, is that I have no desire to change them, circumstances around them. And it's not that change will not be necessary for you in your path, for your growth, for our growth as a team, but it's just that if nothing changes, the love will go on and on. It doesn't matter. And I love that feeling. And I say, good. I feel like I've won all the awards you can ever win in life. Not that it's outwardly, but it's almost if I won Lifetime Achievement Award, the Oscars, and everything. Like I've lived 1,000 lives because I would have achieved that within myself. And this level of love for me is not reflective of something someone would have done. I can't say, oh, it started here. It was when you this, and it was this, and it was that. It is just infinite. But also, what I've learned when I step back and look a little bit deeper, it was very much connected to the level of love, the pureness of the love I have experienced with myself and my creator in this phase of my life. So yes, I feel like I've lived 1,000 lives and I'm in this moment that is just no matter what, it's always well with me. It is well, right? It is well because it's that love that came from outside and now when I exchange my life, share my life with someone, that's it's a fountain that flows. We went on a whole nother
Love that.
tangent thanks to
Yes.
me, but I know that my guests are vulnerable, and I believe when you learn, you teach. So I go to be vulnerable with you. It's our stories and our lessons that someone listening can learn from. So here we go into those 4 pillars that I can't wait. I did not get the book yet. So I'm coming in blind, and sometimes it's good for me to read the book before, and sometimes it's good for me to read it after But Christmas came, so I took 2 weeks off of reading, but I thought about reading most of it last week. I was like, you know what? No, this is a topic I want to unfold in front of me. So let's talk about the 4 pillars in your blueprint for legendary love. One of the takeaways from your work that I absolutely love is, can you just walk us through those pillars, what they are, and why they're so crucial in building these thriving relationships that everyone I know wants, no matter what we say? We're just burnt out if we don't say it anymore, but we do all want it.
We all want that deeper connection with one person. Absolutely. So the pillars are, the first one is the me.
The me.
It's exactly what you described before. It's all about
me.
Your inner work, personal responsibility for your happiness. You know, your partner is not your punching bag, and you cannot outsource your happiness to your partner.
I love that. That's a mic drop moment.
Yeah, you cannot outsource your happiness to your partner. I think that, you know, when we transition from the honeymoon phase to the power struggle phase, we unconsciously do that. We're not aware we're doing that.
Yes.
And that's because during the honeymoon phase, there is that unconscious, unspoken promise that you will give me what I lack. In fact, we see in the other person what we lack. I go, oh, yes, this is going to be perfect. Yes. He makes me feel good. He makes me like myself. He makes me feel that I'm a good person, that I am worthy, or whatever it is. So the me pillar is when you realize that you're going to keep being angry if you keep outsourcing your sense of wholeness to your partner. And there is no other way than doing your inner work. So basically, you're taking responsibility for yourself so you can also show up to your best to your partner, to your relationship. That's the me pillar.
The me pillar.
The second pillar is the you. So now we shift the focus to your partner. And that's, how do you truly show up? Do you show up as a true friend with kindness, with generosity, with respect? You know, generosity as a default, as a modus operandi, really. Whenever I can say yes without hurting myself, I do. And that's what we were talking about, not wanting to change your partner. Respect their design, their ways. If their brain is more an ADD brain, then how do you work with that rather than trying to change them, right?
Exactly.
So that's these are the first two. So the first two pillars are about the individual, one person. First me, then you. I see you. I want to know you. I want to get to know you deeper. I want to understand you. I want to be a friend. Means I take time to know you so I know how to love you.
Absolutely.
Right?
How to love you.
All the love languages and all of the beautiful tools we have to learn about a person. And then we move into the other two pillars are about the couple. So the third pillar is called our. And our means that you look at your relationship pretty much like a business, two partners, two shareholders with roles and responsibilities, with a common vision. That's often forgotten. Do you have a common vision? No, I know what I want. I'm not sure I know what he wants.
Right.
So common vision, and you work as a team. And you manage your assets, and your assets are your home, your finances, your children, your future. So the way to best maximize that pillar is through the 3 C's: communication, coordination, and collaboration. Right? I love to say that a couple and a home should become a dream factory where there's space to fulfill everybody's dreams, each one of the couple, the children, because we have individual visions and then a common vision.
Yes.
And the fourth pillar is also about the couple, and this is about the true union. It's about us. Like you said, you see into me is the intimacy. It's that sacred union that makes you a power couple.
Yes.
Now, it's the last one because to get to that place where you feel there's nothing between the two of you, just you and your partner, to get to that level of union and connection, you need to have trust and you need to feel safe. So the first three pillars build that connection, build that trust and that safety. So then I want to let you into me.
Yes.
And this is truly what makes the couple a couple and not just roommates, right?
Exactly. Because that's a lot of people's story after a few years in marriage.
That's right. But if we get to that moment that that pillar is missing, it's because one of the others is not in place either.
I can agree with that. Especially, it's usually a lot of times it's the me.
Yeah, that's why it's the first one. It's difficult to build without it.
Yeah, it's so foundational.
That's right. So foundational. I say that your marriage is like a chair with 4 legs.
Oh.
If one is missing, you can still sit on it, but maybe just you, and maybe your partner can sit on it too, but children cannot sit. It will break.
Yeah.
So we want the 4 legs to be there so the chair can be solid and people can sit on it. Your entire family can sit on it.
Exactly.
It has that stability.
So we have me, you, our, and the last one is?
Us.
Us, exactly. And the difference, can you define why is it our and then us? What is the difference, would you say?
The hour is how you manage your relationship, your home.
Management.
It's a very
practical, strategic.
Very practical,
yeah.
Right. What are the tools and the routines you want to have in place in order to do this properly?
Yes.
Otherwise, things fall between the chairs. Really, it's you disconnect. You cannot run a business if the 2 business owners don't have a common vision.
Absolutely.
And they know who's doing, and they don't coordinate. They might not have
who's doing what and who's. That's right. You have the 3 C's.
You need that. You need to build that synergy through the coordination, collaboration, communication.
Yes.
The us is not practical. It
sounds spiritual to me.
It's spiritual. That's right. It's that spiritual union is when you feel one. It's that oneness. It's that sacred union that you feel you have intimacy at every level. Of course, physical intimacy, emotional intimacy, intellectual intimacy. And yeah, it's what truly it's when you feel that union and you feel that together you are way more than the sum of the 2 of you. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. Right.
Oh, I love that.
And it's so juicy, not in a sexual way.
Yes.
It's just delicious. It's delicious to feel that with someone.
Yes. And I say, I can only imagine. Let me ask you this. One of the things that research shows is how busy couples are, not only because they have a career, but because just being a couple, when it's the hour piece, right? Just being hour can be so busy, and then building that family adds more busyness, career. How do couples apply these principles in life when it gets busy, when they feel like they're drifting apart? If you have maybe a story or application that you've been able to implement with your client, we'd love to hear how that works.
So if you're running on an empty tank, the busyness will absolutely get you. Right? You're going to be depleted.
Yes.
Energetically depleted. So the idea is that the more your tank is full, and not just personally, as a couple, the more you have that nuclear reactor of connection between the 2 of you, and you can do more things and you can be busier and create more. That's one of the characteristics of power couples, is that they do a lot of things, right? And it all starts with the connection. And I know that building connection takes time.
It does.
It takes commitment. But if you realize that the 1 hour you invest in that commitment will fill up your tank and give you exponentially a surge of energy, you will do it. So practically speaking, We ask couples to not just to have a night date where they connect as friends or as lovers, but to actually have weekly and monthly meetings where they coordinate, and there's a planner where they coordinate their lives. Nothing is above us to say, oh, I'm the CEO of this company. I don't have time to sit with my partner and coordinate how the week is going to look like.
Exactly.
That's ego.
That's ego. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's so important to communicate, to coordinate, and to plan, because that way you feel the support of your partner. Yes. You feel you are in this together. And you also communicate what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a weekly planner, we have a monthly planner where we ask couples to sit and actually coordinate. In fact, many times, and we also have on-demand communication. And on-demand communication is when, and I know my kids have heard me say that to my husband many times, is when I will come and say, listen, the next 2 weeks are chaotic. We have the book launch, we have this, and I don't see how I'm going to do all this and stay sane. We need to sit and plan.
Yes, we have to work on this together. We have to have a plan for this. Yes.
That's right. So we sit and we actually plan, and we plan what we need and what type of support I need and what's required. So it's really about the teamwork.
It is. I love that. I have this phrase I say, you wouldn't do it in business, don't do it in life.
That's right.
And it's true. We would not miss that meeting. We wouldn't stop what we're doing if we know there's an upcoming, landslide or whatever coming. We're going to call the whole team as CEO and say, okay, all hands on deck meeting now. And it's on. We're going through it, making that plan to stop that from happening, So absolutely true. Now, Gabriela, I thought I needed to really get into this with you. So I created a special segment that is called Mythbusters and Mindset Disruption from Gabriela Embon. Because we got to get it. We got to get it. We got to get this stuff. We got to get this. And I've already decided that this episode is going to be our Valentine's special. And because a lot of times we think about love and going on a date and getting chocolate, but I would love for people to think of this Valentine that's here. That this is a time to really, really, really think about what kind of relationship you want to have, or the kind that you're creating with your partner already. So let's bust some myths and disrupt some mindsets when it comes to love and relationship, because you talk about engineering. You said engineering successful marriages. What does that mean, and how can couples adapt that mindset to strengthen their bond?
Okay, so one of the mindset shifts that are extremely important when it comes to marriage is to revisit the belief that love is what keeps a marriage together. Ooh. I mean, when couples usually divorce, they say, we fell out of love. And I say, what happened to the love? What do you mean you fell out of love? Where's the love? Right? So we understand that love, the way we experience it in the honeymoon phase, will last anything from 6 months to 2 years.
Come on now.
Right? And after that, because your neurotransmitters and your hormones will decrease, you will feel that love less. However, you can rekindle it. So you don't need to wait to feel it to do something. You first need to do to then experience the love.
Right.
And what rekindles the love is the commitment. So love is what attracts two people to the altar, but commitment is what keeps them together. And commitment, it's a really nice word. It doesn't mean I'll stay faithful. That's not commitment.
No.
But it's far more than that.
Exactly.
Commitment is actually a very active work.
Come on.
It means I'll invest and do whatever it takes to make this work. And here's the second part of the sentence. Even on days that I don't feel like it.
Even on days that I feel like. That's exactly how I can't get to, and I keep my body in shape. Because I do it even when I don't want to, which is 80% of the time.
I feel you on that.
But 100% of the time, I'm always excited that I did. So I don't know when that's going to stop. But hey, I do hard things.
But couples say, well, once I feel the love, I'll start doing that. I'll start going on a weekly
Or
date.
once they start to make me feel love, once they start to be attractive like the people I see on social media, that's when I will feel
That's right. And no, it's actually we have to flip the order.
Yes.
I don't need to feel the love to commit, like in the beginning. I need to commit to then rekindle the love.
I love that. I love that.
So that's the first myth, and it's so important because it is actually what's going to help you overcome the power struggle, which is the second phase of the relationship, and then transition to the power couple. If you continue investing and doing what you know you need to do, even if you feel like your partner is not reciprocating, even if you don't feel like it, you still do what you know you need to do. It's pretty much when you raise children. I always say, do you always feel like feeding them or bathing them? No.
Right.
Do you always love them? As an idea, but some days you really don't want to see them, but you still show up. You can't divorce them, right? You're committed.
Yeah.
That's right. Even to your business. Yes, you can say, I love what I do, but some days you actually feel like,
I want to be in a blanket.
That's right.
Get up and record podcast
But there's a bigger picture. There is a mission. Yes. There's a commitment you made to the value you bring in this world. So with your relationship, it's the same. There's a commitment you made. You're committed not to the other person. You're committed to the relationship. You're committed to the union.
That's right.
So the invitation maybe on Valentine's Day for couples is to revisit. What are the things that perhaps we stopped doing?
Right.
And we want to start doing them again.
Yes.
And also, if you've been a few years together, what's going to make you feel loved? The biggest gift that you can give for Valentine to your partner, in general to your partner, is teach them how to love you.
Teach them how to love you. And that would that go back to the 3 C's? What is my accountability when it comes to teaching my partner how to love me? What do I do?
So you, first of all, communicate, express what you need. Your partner cannot read your mind, even though you think they do. And they also don't expect them to. So what they should know. No, they don't. They should not.
Not who
Why would they?
Exactly.
Right? And respect that men and women are different and think differently. Okay. So don't expect anything. In fact, expectations is one of the aspects that erode the marriage. Don't expect anything. Just tell them what you need. Tell them what you want.
Yes.
And so that's the best way that you can teach your partner how to love you.
Yes.
Talk about how you feel. Talk about what you want. Talk about what you need. Men love to make their spouse happy.
If you love someone, you want to make them happy.
Men love supporting. They want to make you happy. Tell them what you need. They'll happily do it. The problem they have is that usually they're trying to guess what you need.
And we haven't tried to, I don't want to say we, but a lot of us, and that's where that Me Foundation came in. And I love that you start your pillars there. Because if I don't know for my own self what I want and how I want to be loved, and I don't know how to love myself, how am I supposed to verbalize that to someone? And this is why I love that you put the Me pillar first at the first, as you build up. I think of it like a pyramid in the foundation, because you can't give and speak on what you're not connected to. I don't say you're lost. I say you're not connected to your own true values, your own desires, and your own needs, wants. You've got to do that. I absolutely love that. And so you said something that I want to learn a little bit more about. You said a power struggle phase into a power couple phase. So you're saying that there is a space where couples tend to have a power struggle? What does that mean?
Generally, we look at 3 different phases. The first one, when we get together, is the honeymoon phase.
A honeymoon.
Okay.
Right.
And then
how long can that last? You said 6 months to 2 years?
2 years, yes. Then we have usually we start getting in each other's nerves. Now we start having struggles or power struggles, or we start fighting over things that are not really about that, but it's our way of saying that unconscious promise, you're not fulfilling it. Right? You don't make me feel happy anymore. You don't make me feel I'm good enough anymore. So we start developing that undercurrent of resentment that is externalized as fighting over stupidity.
Because we can't get the hormones that were released during the honeymoon phase. We're not getting our supply.
We're not getting our supply. That's right.
Addict on the loose here.
And now our partner is triggering the parts that we need to resolve ourselves.
That's right.
Right. So those triggers, we feel those triggers, we look for instant gratification.
Yes.
How do I stop feeling this way? I'm going to be angry at you. I'm going to blame you. Rather than looking at them, and that's why the middle pillar as the opportunity. Oh, if I'm triggered, there's something that I need to work on.
Right.
So this is the second phase, and it can last as long as the two individuals are willing to do their inner work.
Absolutely.
And learn to communicate from that new awareness and apologize and be humble enough to say, no, this is mine. I know I was mad at you, but this is mine. What you said it was not as sensitive as I would like it to be, but it's really my trigger.
Yeah.
So that humility, that new awareness is what allows you to overcome and build trust. Because if your partner keeps blaming you, you're not going to trust them. If they don't take responsibility for their own well-being, you're not going to trust them.
No, you won't. Absolutely.
So that power struggle is usually where couples divorce. And most couples divorce anything from 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
Right. That's because that undercurrent resentment that is flowing under the surface starts eroding the bond of trust that we build in the first phase, right? In the honeymoon, we're trusting each other. And we build that connection, we build that bond of trust, and now comes the resentment and slowly starts creating a crack and eroding that trust. So then we very slowly start growing apart. And because we're angry, we're not doing the things we used to do. So we stop nourishing the relationship. Including intimacy, I say intimacy is like vitamins to your relationship. If you don't have it, you are starving it.
Absolutely. I agree. Vitamin C.
So that's a second phase, and it's the more difficult one. But if you're able to grow out of it through the work with the 4 pillars, then you are so rewarded, because now you enter the third phase, which is the power couple.
So what is a power couple? What is your definition of power couple, and what does it take to become one?
I like you said your definition. I would like for every couple to define that for themselves first and foremost. Right? There's no ultimate definition, but for me, it's many things. One is that feeling that together we can do anything. Right?
It's not a status symbol. It's not what cars we drive, what body shape we're in.
No, I know. Someone already expressed that to me. People say they look at power couples as people that are wealthy.
Yes, with money and status, and they're in shape, and they have the cars and the homes and the aircrafts, maybe.
Yes. No, that's not what I mean. It's that feeling that together we are invisible. We can do anything. It's the feeling that no matter what life throws at us, we have the strength together to overcome it. That the sum of our parts is so much bigger than 2.
Yeah.
It's also that inner. It's such a beautiful feeling. It's the feeling of certainty, lack of worry. Okay.
Yes.
Imagine running a business, doing what you need to do, but not worrying that it will be okay, if we will succeed, will you bring the revenue? So it's that lack of worry about your relationship, like you feel so safe, so certain, yet it doesn't put you to sleep. You actually, that stability, that certainty empowers you to play. empowers you to create more, empowers you to be more playful with your partner.
Yeah.
So it's not that, oh, I feel safe, I don't need to invest. It actually does the opposite. So on one hand, you feel that safety, that union together, that certainty that you are together invisible. But on the other hand, that certainty allows you to say, okay, let's do more, let's have fun, let's create, let's play.
I love that. Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about those warning signs that you talk about in your work. When people find themselves absolutely drifting apart, there's someone listening here, one half of a couple that's listening is like, well, if that ship's saying I don't have time, I don't know if we can reignite it. How can people reconnect before